What's going on, guys? This is your budget gamer here, coming at you with a $600 console replacer. This PC will run you about $600 and can play the latest games at 1080p at decent frame rates and decent settings. It will outperform a console and has more games than a console. So without further ado, I'm just going to start with the build. So for the CPU, I decided to choose the AMD Athlon X4 860K. And this is one of the budget favorites of many console killers. It runs at 3.7 GHz and is a quad-core processor, which is essentially essential for games nowadays. Most modern games won't run on i3s with dual cores anymore. This CPU comes with its own CPU heatsink and only uses up 95 watts of power. For the motherboard, I decided to choose the Gigabyte GA-F2868HM. What a mouthful. This motherboard is a micro ATX form factor motherboard and can support up to 64 gigabytes of max memory. It only has 2 memory DIMM slots, so I recommend one 8 gigabyte stick, and in the future, if you want to, you can grab another 8 gigabyte stick for the total of 16 gigabytes. This motherboard includes RAID support and 4 6 gigabit per second SATA ports. Next up, we got the memory. So for the memory, I decided to choose the Corsair Vengeance 8 gigabyte single stick. This stick runs at DDR3 1600 MHz, and 8 gigabytes nowadays is essential for gaming. And I chose one 8 gigabyte stick for future upgradability, and most modern games will not use more than 8 gigabytes despite the recommended specs. Maybe in the future when it does, you can pick another stick of this RAM and you'll have 16 gigabytes and be fine. For storage, I decided to choose the 1TB Western Digital Caviar Blue. This is a 7200 RPM hard drive that will boot up your OS in about a minute to a minute and a half. This can fit all your OS, all your games, music, movies for most general users, and can boot up most games rather quickly and is the go-to for budget computers using mechanical hard drives. Now for the crux of the build, I decided to choose the EVGA GeForce GTX 750 Ti 2GB Superclocked video card. This comes factory overclocked by EVGA, and that is ideal for 1080p gaming at medium to lower resolutions. Has G-Sync support, has 1 DVI, 1 HDMI, and 1 VGA output. For some of the benchmarks, GTA 5 can run at 30 to 40 frames per second on high settings. Dying Light can run at 40 to 50 frames per second on high settings. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 can run 40 to 50 frames on high settings, and Counter-Strike Global Offensive will run 80 to 100 plus frames per second on ultra settings. One thing to mention is that with the Athlon and the GTX 750 Ti, it is pretty power efficient, so you don't have to go crazy on your power supply. Moving on with the case, I decided to choose the popular NZXT Source 210 mid-tower case. This case comes in either white or black, supports ATX, micro ATX, and mini ITX motherboards, has 3 5.25-inch optical drive bays, and 8 internal 3.5-inch hard drive bays. This is a great budget case. You may not get all the greatest cable management features with this case, but for the price you can't really go wrong. And for the power supply, I decided to choose the Corsair CX 430 watt power supply, and it comes in at 80 plus bronze certified, is a semi-modular case, and is a ATX form factor power supply. This rig will only use a maximum of 244 watts of electricity, so a 430 watt power supply will run this rig just fine. After adding out the budget of this rig, it only comes up to a total of $591. And there you have it. You have your new console replacer. Most games will be cheaper, they run at more consistent frame rates, you can turn the settings up higher. There is not much more to love than a $600 gaming PC. However, I do not recommend getting this build if you want to see more graphical fidelity within your games. If you want to see your games run at more consistent frame rates like 60 FPS or 144 Hz, I would recommend getting a better video card and a better rig in general. But if you just want something that will perform better than a PS4 and an Xbox that has more games and more frequent sales, then I do recommend this build. Not to mention, you'll be able to mod your games. You'll be able to play your games with a keyboard and mouse, as well as controllers. You can use this as your personal computer or a workstation or an entertainment system. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the description what you have thought. Maybe give me ideas for new videos. Maybe like, favorite, subscribe, or bash, dislike, and hate. Do what you want. But thank you for checking in, and peace out.